Hey, I'm Julie with Food Service Women's Alliance, and we're here today with Lynne Karo. Lynne did 3 workshops about a month ago, and the workshops were really around the job search, but about standing out in the crowd. So Lynne has graciously offered, with the high demand that we had for, do you have a recording? Do you have a recording? To come back and record this session for us. So Lynne, dive right in. We're dying to hear.
Awesome, Julie. I tell you, that experience was so empowering just to have so many people reach out afterwards and make connections. And several of us are still connected now, which is great. So, I'm no soothsayer or professional at this, but I guess I have a story to tell, and I think it resonates with a lot of people. And I would say, in a short time we want to do this, there's 3 things for me that I think are really important to help you stand out: preparation, staging, and then there's the big part I want to share, which is kind of my authenticity and finding joy, which I think when we're our strongest and our best selves, like people connect to that, and people nowadays are looking for that happiness. So, first of all, on the preparation, um, I can tend to talk a lot. I'm in sales and I love to tell a great story, but I really practiced a lot the STAR method. If anyone is familiar with it or not, they should Google it. So it's basically preparing maybe 5 to 10 of those situational questions you can expect in an interview, to be like, hey, give me a time when, tell me when you did this, tell me whatever. So not to have them so much memorized, but just to me be passionate about the stories you choose. Think of those times you really excelled or you were really in a challenge and you did well. And in the STAR method, you just give the situation, you give the tactic or action that you took, and you give the result. Boom, 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 end of story. It keeps you really hyper focused and engaged. And when you have those ready, people you're connecting. Again, the challenge nowadays is my superpower is connecting with people, but I'm talking to you through a computer. So, how do we engage? And I think when we're comfortable and confident, right, that's going to showcase across the screen, don't you think?
Absolutely. It makes all the difference in the world, especially when you can't always be face to face. And the later part of the interview process is often face to face, but that first part might be a phone call and it might be a Zoom.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So again, I think it's less memorization, but knowing your own story, right? Knowing when you really did well or when you were challenged, and just leaning into some of those situations and opportunities as well is just shows a great strength. When I had this opportunity at Ocean Spray, when I knew we were going to do this, you and I, one of the questions I asked the 37-year-old manager who hired me when I was 58 or 59 years old, what was it about me that made me stand out? And she was, first of all, then she goes, obviously your resume was off the charts. She goes, but secondly, you just made a connection with everyone. We really felt like you could make an impact on the business day one. And that was because I told my strongest stories in that SMART method. So for me, it was super valuable. The next thing for me is staging. I'm also a hobbyist photographer, so it's all about lighting. I've got my little ring lights here that take a few years and a few wrinkles off. But again, doing the preparation to what's behind you. If you see behind me, for every interview I had, I put all the products behind me on. I had Siete Foods, a Hellman's mayonnaise, whatever it was. Ocean Spray is the last one that went on the shelf, and luckily it's still there. But it was an effort that I took. Made sure the lighting was good. I like my hair up. I think I look a little more professional, a little younger per se, again, leaning into that. And then had the preparation behind me where I could see them in the camera. Is that Ocean Spray behind you? And it just showed I was super engaged in the position, right? I was all excited about it. So little things like that, taking the time to prepare, to set the stage, to feel your best, leaning in, especially for my girlfriends of a certain age, right? We're like, oh my goodness, they're never going to choose me, or I'm not who I used to be. There's a lot of insecurities that can pop up. I say lean right into all of them, right? I mean, we all know at this stage we have a lot of great experience, and we really want to exude that in the interview.
Yeah, I can see where that would really set you apart from the candidate pool. Sometimes it means doing things that are truly like authentic to you, but that maybe other candidates look at it and go, oh, I better be in a navy blue suit and I better have a white background and I better have like, wow, what you did there is you let your personality show. You let your commitment to that company and your enthusiasm for that role really show. So how did you get to that place? I mean, here you were
It's
in the job
a
search.
lot of
I remember you and I talking during that window, and you're like, oh, sister, it is rough out here. But how did you get yourself to that place where you're so passionate, enthusiastic, and encouraging?
it was a lot of self-work. I'll be honest with you, and my friend, life was coming at me pretty hard. I walked a journey with my mom, a years-long journey of leukemia that was an incredible, intense, in the end, sad story, but it was unbelievable. And then after that, I got outsourced from a job. My husband decided to have a midlife crisis right as COVID was coming, and he left. I got outsourced on another job, and it got to the point where I was like, hold on. I'm a pretty positive person, and I just felt like life was happening to me, and I wasn't engaged in driving it at all. So I took a sabbatical. I took about 7 or 8 months off, did some real research on myself, hired a life coach, a slash life career coach. We kind of did our own program because I had a little of both, but I wanted to move forward with that, and found out some great things, and also did on my own some real learning. I think, Julie, you have a slide there that we could pull up quick. Some of these are free. Some you have to pay a little bit, but predictive index and the Enneagram were two that I absolutely loved. And what this work showed me is the girl I felt inside, the type A overachiever, but then there's also this really cool, happy, hippie kind of girl. And I always felt there were two of them in there. And these just showed me that I wasn't crazy. There were actually two. And right now, to be honest with you, when I did work with my life coach, one was on values. And the top value that came up for me was happiness. The legacy from my mom that we designed together was this hashtag of find joy, right? One day my mom was fine. The next day she got a phone call and she wasn't. So today is a day I'm going to be happy. If I have to work, I want to do something I love. I want to bring myself to it. I don't want to be, I don't want to be sitting here in a blue suit with a white screen if I don't want to show up to work that way every day. I prefer to show up with my ocean spray cans and all that sort of fun stuff. I feel like I am myself, whether I'm at work, with my friends, or at home by myself. So these are two things that just reinforced. I'm a number 7 enthusiast on the Enneagram. On the predictive index, I'm, kind of light with rules, light with details, but passionate. A little bit, people like to follow me. They get inspired by me. And I just really leaned into all of those as my authentic self. And it really connects with people. And I am happy. I love my job. It secured the interview. This finding joy for me is just something very important. I'm going to be 62 years old next week. I'm damn proud of it. I said to people, excuse me, I was in a corporate job for a while, and so many of us were, well, if I can just stay till, if I can just make it, if I can just, and I had thought to myself again, when everything came on top of me, it's time to be myself and have fun. And that's what I think makes me stand out and makes me happy. And I'm happy to share it anytime with people.
I love that, Lynn. One of the things that dawns on me is that we don't often think when we're in this mode of looking for a job, and we saw this in some of our workshops and some of the questions that ended up in the chat and things like that. But the last thing you really feel is happy and enthusiastic. But this sort of roadmap you've painted where people can really dive into their own authenticity, experience it their own way, deal with it, process it their own way, but to recognize that your strongest self is going to emerge in this process if you will invest in yourself. So I love that.
I truly believe it. It's magic. It's manifesting. It really is taking everything out that doesn't serve you and just focusing on what you want, and it will come together.
Yeah, for sure. So share with us, if you don't mind, maybe over the course of this, you did 3 workshops. Is there anything or anyone, obviously wouldn't want you to mention any names, but anything like that, you could just share a short story with us about the impact of this with someone else?
It's amazing, and it was exactly what I would have hoped. After we did all of them, I had individual people immediately reach out on LinkedIn, connect with me, and it was that I gave them hope and that they saw themselves. They saw themselves. They saw that I had challenges. My life is not perfect, by any means, but I choose to live in the moment, to be happy, and to drive my journey. And I think for women, a lot of this comes in your 50s, you're finding who you are. In your 60s, you know who you are. So I'm going to save you girls a whole lot of time. Just know who you are at any age, and it serves you well. My girlfriend said to me, what doesn't bring me peace, happiness, and joy is no longer a part of my life. And again, we can have a job, but we can be ourselves there. It doesn't have to be a disconnect, exhausting. I'm one of those, I'm going to go sliding into retirement, knees scruffed, woo, yelling, screaming, and happy as a reward for a job well done, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I know we've always said we subscribe to the idea that we're going to go sliding into home plate, not crawling. So I love that. I absolutely love it. Well, Lynn, thank you for lending your experience, your vulnerability, and your expertise in this area. We also want to just sort of put it out there for anyone who's an
Call
FWA
me.
member and, let you know that you can reach out to Lynn on LinkedIn. We'll also make your Enneagram profile
Yes.
available to you. If you'll let us know what your number is, we'll send you something to help you sort of along this journey. So Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you as always.
all
I'm
right.
available. Thanks.